The prison was silent. Not the silence of peace, but the silence of fear. Cold metal walls stretched high, filled with shadows and echoes. The air smelled of dust, oil, and old blood. Every sound carried, chains clinking, footsteps echoing, and sometimes the low hum of alien machines. In this prison, hope did not live. Only despair. Among the many prisoners sat a human soldier. His body was weak, his face pale, but his eyes still held a small flame. He had fought in battles, he had lost comrades, and now he was nothing more than a captured man. His hands were scarred, his uniform torn, but his spirit had not yet broken. Then one night he heard it. A sound that cut deeper than any weapon. It was not the scream of pain or the shout of anger. It was soft, weak, trembling. A whisper, human, please help me. The soldier opened his eyes, his heart pounding. He thought it was a trick, a hallucination caused by hunger and exhaustion. But then he heard it again, human. Please feed my baby. My milk is gone. She is starving. His blood turned cold. The voice came from the corner of the cell. In the faint blue light he saw her, an alien mother. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes glowing faintly, her body trembling as she held a small bundle in her arms. The bundle moved and he heard the cry of a baby. The sound pierced the silence. It was not like a human baby's cry, but it carried the same meaning: fear, hunger, desperation. The soldier stared, unable to move. An alien, one of the enemy, was begging him for help. The mother's voice broke again. My milk, it is gone. She will die. Please, human, please feed her. His mind froze. Feed her? How? What did she mean? Humans and aliens were different. This request was impossible, wasn't it? But the look in her eyes stopped him. It was not the look of an enemy. It was the look of a mother about to lose her child. He felt a chill in his chest. For the first time since his capture, he felt something stronger than fear. Responsibility. He whispered back, his voice dry from thirst. Why me? The alien mother's eyes filled with tears. She looked down at the baby, whose tiny body shook with weak cries. Then she looked back at the human, because only humans can. Your kind, your body, it can give life where others cannot. Please, no other species can do this. Only you. Her words hit him like thunder. Humans different? Humans special? He wanted to deny it. He wanted to believe it was a lie, some cruel trap to break him. But the baby's cry was too real, too raw. The sound of life slipping away. The soldier closed his eyes. His heart beat faster. In war, he had seen death many times. He had buried friends, watched enemies fall. But this was different. This was an innocent life, small, fragile, helpless. Could he really ignore it? The silence of the prison returned, broken only by the baby's thin cries. Each cry was weaker than the last. Each cry pulled at his chest like sharp claws. The mother whispered again, her voice barely alive. Please, human, I beg you. She will die tonight if you do nothing. The soldier's hands shook. He felt trapped, not by the chains on his wrists, but by the choice before him. If he helped, he risked everything. If the guards discovered it, he would be punished, maybe killed. But if he refused, the baby would die. He looked into the mother's glowing eyes again. He saw fear, but also trust. She was putting her child's life in his hands. A human's hands. For a long moment, he said nothing. His mind screamed at him to walk away, to protect himself. But his heart whispered a different answer. Slowly, painfully, he moved closer. The chains on his ankles scraped the floor, the sound sharp in the silence. He reached out his trembling hands. The mother gasped softly and placed the baby in his arms. The tiny creature was warm, weak, and shaking. Its eyes barely opened, but when it felt his touch, the cry softened. The soldier felt something strange stir inside him. Something he thought he had lost long ago, humanity. He looked at the mother. If what you say is true, then I will try. Tears ran down her silver face. She whispered, thank you. Thank you, human. The soldier held the alien baby close, his heart racing. He had no idea how or why or what this meant. But one thing was certain. Tonight, in the darkest prison of the galaxy, an enemy had asked a human for the most impossible gift, life itself, and the human had not said no. But deep inside, he wondered, was this truly a mother's desperate request? Or was it the beginning of something far greater, something dangerous, something that could change everything? The baby's soft breathing filled the silence. The mother closed her eyes in relief, and the soldier sat in the shadows holding a secret that could not be hidden for long. Because in this prison, nothing stayed secret. Not for long. The prison never slept. Even when the lights dimmed and shadows grew, the walls hummed with the sound of alien machines. Guards marched in silence, their weapons glowing faintly. Chains rattled whenever a prisoner turned in his sleep. But the human soldier did not sleep. He sat in the corner, his eyes fixed on the small alien baby resting against his chest. The child had stopped crying for now, but its breaths were shallow. The alien mother watched him with desperate eyes. She had given her baby to a human, something unthinkable for her kind. Her people hated humans, feared them, called them dangerous, but now here she was whispering the most shocking words. Please, human, feed her, only you can. The soldier's mind spun. Feed her? It sounded impossible. He was not her kind, not her blood. How could this be true? He whispered back, his voice rough. You must be lying. How can a human feed your child? The mother shook her head, tears glimmering in the dim light. No, this is no lie. My body has failed. My milk is gone. But humans, your kind is different. You can adapt. You can give what others cannot. The old records say so. We always feared it. Humans can become what is needed to survive. The soldier's heart pounded. He had heard whispers of human adaptability before. Stories that humans could live on any planet, endure any climate, eat food that would poison other species. But this was beyond belief. He stared at the baby, small and fragile in his arms. Its thin fingers curled weakly, its eyes half shut. Every breath seemed like it could be the last. The mother's voice cracked. If you do not try, she will die tonight. Do you want that, human? Will you watch her die? The soldier clenched his jaw. He had seen many deaths, too many. Soldiers falling beside him, enemies crushed in battle, innocent civilians burned in war. He had promised himself he would never feel again. But this was different. This was a child, and she was asking him to do the impossible. He whispered almost to himself. Why me? Why not your own people? Why would you beg an enemy? The mother lowered her head, shame burning in her eyes. My people would let her die. They do not care. To them, weakness must be erased. But I'm only a mother. I cannot let my child starve. I saw you, human. You still hold life in your hands. You fight to live, even in chains, please. I beg you. Her words shook him. She was not a soldier. She was not a warden. She was just a mother trapped in the same hopeless place. The soldier looked around. The guards patrolled outside the bars. The other prisoners slept or pretended to sleep, too broken to care. He knew that if anyone saw what he was about to do, punishment would be brutal. He closed his eyes. His body trembled. He remembered his own mother, her voice, her warmth, the way she had once held him. She was gone now, long gone, but her memory stirred inside him. He looked down at the alien baby again. Its breathing slowed, weaker, softer. He realized something terrifying. If he refused, the baby might not last another hour. The soldier took a deep breath. His voice came low, steady. I don't know if this will work, but I will try. The mother's silver eyes widened. Hope lit her face for the first time. She nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks. Thank you, human. You do not understand what this means. The soldier frowned. No, I don't, and I don't trust it. Why would we have this ability? What are you hiding? The mother hesitated. Her voice dropped to a whisper. There are things your people do not know about themselves. The galaxy fears you because you are not like the rest of us. You can change. You can survive where we cannot. You can give life even when life should end. That is why they hate you. That is why they keep you locked away. The soldier felt a chill run down his spine. Her words sounded like madness, yet deep inside, a part of him knew they were true. He remembered the stories. Humans thriving on poisoned planets, surviving in storms that should kill, eating food no other species could touch. Humanity had always been called stubborn, dangerous, unpredictable, but this was something more. The baby whimpered again, a sound so thin it barely reached his ears. His chest ached. The mother whispered, urgent now. Please try. She is fading. His hands shook as he adjusted the child, holding her close. His body was exhausted, starving, weak, but something deep inside stirred. A strange warmth, a strange power. He closed his eyes. He tried to imagine giving life the way his own mother once gave to him. He focused on survival, on the fire that burned in every human heart. Minutes passed. The baby grew quiet. The mother's breathing hitched, watching, waiting, and then the baby's small body twitched. Its cries grew louder, stronger, piercing the silence of the prison. The mother gasped, covering her mouth to stop a sob. Her eyes glowed with tears. She lives. Human, you did it. She lives. The soldier's chest tightened. He could hardly believe it. But the proof was in his arms. The baby's cries were no longer weak. They were sharp, demanding alive. He stared down at the tiny face, stunned. Somewhere inside he knew this was no ordinary act. This was not just survival. This was a secret. A dangerous secret. If the guards discovered it, he would be killed. If the other species learned the truth, humanity would never be safe, and yet he had done it. He had kept life alive. The mother's voice trembled with gratitude. You do not know, human, but tonight you have changed everything. The soldier held the child tighter, fear twisting in his stomach. He did not understand what had just happened. But one thing was clear. This was only the beginning. The alien baby slept peacefully now, her small chest rising and falling with steady breaths. The human soldier sat in silence, his back against the cold wall, still holding the child close. His body ached, his mind spun, but his heart beat with a strange mix of fear and wonder. He had done the impossible. The alien mother leaned forward, her silver eyes shining with tears. Her voice was soft but heavy with meaning. You see now, human. I was not lying. You're kind. You are different. You can give life where others cannot. The soldier looked at her sharply. Different? You mean cursed. What did I just do? What is happening to me? The mother shook her head. Not cursed, blessed. You humans are born with something no other species has, adaptation, the power to survive anything. The power to become what is needed. The soldier frowned, his mind racing. Adaptation? You mean evolution? That takes millions of years. It doesn't happen overnight. The mother's gaze deepened. For us, yes. For most species, yes. But not for humans. For you, change can happen faster than anyone believes. It is why the galaxy fears you. It is why you are hunted, chained, and silenced. Because you hold the one gift that can break the balance. Her words felt like knives. He remembered the wars, the endless battles, the way every alien army seemed to target humans first. He had always thought it was because humans were weaker, easier to kill. But what if it was the opposite? What if they were feared because they were too strong in ways no one understood? The soldier's voice came out low. You're saying, humanity is dangerous not because of weapons or armies, but because of what we are. The mother nodded slowly. Yes, dangerous because you can change. You can endure poison worlds, crushing gravity, freezing voids. You can eat what kills others. You can breathe where no one else can breathe. And now, you can even give life to those not your own. Tell me, human, do you not see why this terrifies the galaxy? The soldier's chest tightened. He wanted to deny it, but the truth was in his arms. The alien baby alive and breathing because of him. Something inside him had shifted. Something no science in his world had ever explained. But why had no one told him? Why had his people never spoken of this? Almost as if she read his thoughts, the alien mother whispered, Your leaders do not know. Not fully. The truth is hidden in old records lost to time. My people found them long ago. They spoke of humans not as prey, but as survivors, as the species that would outlast all others. The soldier swallowed hard. His hands trembled slightly as he held the child. Then why are you telling me this? Why trust me with such a secret? The mother's lips trembled, but she spoke with conviction. Because you saved my daughter. Because I see now what the records meant. You are proof that the old stories were true. The soldier fell silent. His thoughts were a storm. All his life he had believed humans were just another race in the galaxy. Fragile, short-lived, always struggling. But now, in the darkest corner of a prison, he was being told humans carried a secret power that could shake empires. And if it was true, then his act tonight was not just kindness. It was a spark. The baby stirred in his arms, whimpering softly before drifting back into sleep. He looked down at her tiny face and felt a strange warmth in his chest, but fear returned just as quickly. If the guards discovered this, if word spread, he would not only be executed, humanity itself would be hunted with even greater fury. The mother leaned closer, her voice urgent now. You must keep this hidden. Promise me, human. No one can know what you did tonight. If the wardens learn the truth, they will kill you. They will kill her, and they will erase even the memory of it. The soldier's jaw tightened. He knew she was right. Secrets were dangerous here. In this prison, every whisper traveled, every lie spread, and every truth was punished. Still, he could not stop the question that rose in his throat. Why me? Out of all the humans in this place, why was I the one? The mother looked at him for a long time, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Because you listened. Others would have turned away. Others would have let her die. But you, human, you chose compassion over fear. That is your greatest strength. And that is why humanity will never be broken. Her words hit him harder than any blow. Compassion. A word so simple, yet so heavy. It was true, he could have refused. He could have stayed silent. But he hadn't. Now he carried not just a baby, but a secret that could change the fate of both their races. The silence of the prison stretched on. The soldier sat in the dark, heart pounding, mind burning. He thought of his people, of the war, of the galaxy beyond these walls. If what she said was true, then humanity's story was not one of weakness. It was one of survival, of endless, unstoppable survival. But survival came with a price. He tightened his grip on the baby, staring into the shadows. Somewhere beyond these walls, the guards watched. Somewhere beyond the stars, powerful leaders plotted. If they ever discovered this truth, they would not rest until humanity was erased. The mother whispered one last time before sleep took her. Remember this, human. Tonight you did not just save a child. You proved that your kind is more than anyone knows. Never forget it. The soldier closed his eyes, fear and determination twisting inside him. He had no answers yet, but he knew one thing with certainty. The galaxy was hiding something about humans, and now he was a part of it. The days inside the prison passed like shadows, silent, heavy, endless. Time had no meaning here. Every hour felt the same. Cold walls, the smell of rust and sweat, the sound of chains clinking as prisoners shifted in their sleep. But for the human soldier, something had changed. He was no longer alone. The alien baby had survived that first night and every night after. She grew stronger with each day, her cries louder, her tiny hands reaching, grasping alive. And though it seemed impossible, she had grown attached to him. Whenever the baby cried, she quieted only when he held her. Whenever she stirred in fear, her small hands clutched his uniform and refused to let go. The alien mother watched with tired eyes. She was weaker now, her body thin and frail, but her heart carried peace whenever she saw her child in the soldier's arms. You are her protector now, she whispered one night. She trusts you more than me. The soldier looked down at the child in his lap. The baby's strange glowing eyes blinked up at him. He shook his head, whispering back, No, I'm no protector. I'm a prisoner just like you. But deep inside, he knew her words were true. Something had changed between him and the child, something deeper than survival. And soon the other prisoners noticed. They began to whisper in the darkness. At first, quiet murmurs. The human keeps the alien child alive. Then louder, spreading through the cells like smoke. Some sounded curious. Others sounded afraid. And some carried a tone of respect. The human ignored it. He focused on keeping the baby quiet, safe, alive. But he could not escape the feeling that every pair of eyes in the prison now watched him differently. The bond between him and the child grew stronger each day. And with it came danger. Whispers in the shadows one evening as the soldier sat against the wall with the baby asleep in his arms. A prisoner slid closer in the shadows. It was a tall alien with scarred skin and dark eyes. His voice was a low hiss. Human. Is it true you can keep her alive? You can do what her own kind cannot. The soldier's jaw tightened. He looked away, refusing to answer. The alien smirked. Don't bother hiding. We all hear the cries at night. And the silence after. You're hiding something. Something powerful. The soldier glared at him, whispering sharply. Say nothing. Forget what you think you know. If the guards hear you, we all die. The scarred alien chuckled darkly and slipped back into the shadows. But the damage was done. The whispers grew. Some prisoners began to look at the human with awe, others with envy, and some with hatred. In a place where hope was dead, even the smallest spark was dangerous. Suspicion of the guards noticed too. They were not fools. One night, as the soldier rocked the baby to sleep, the iron bars rattled. A massive alien warden stepped forward, his armor glowing faintly under the dim lights. His voice was harsh, cold. Human. Why does the child never die? The soldier froze. His throat went dry. The warden's eyes narrowed. Others starve. Others weaken. Yet this infant survives, explain. The soldier lowered his gaze, forcing calm into his voice. She cries, I comfort her. That is all. Perhaps she is stronger than she looks. The warden studied him in silence, suspicion burning in his gaze. Then, without another word, he turned and left. The echo of his footsteps faded, but the soldier's heart kept pounding. He knew it was only a matter of time before the truth slipped out. The mother's plea that night. The alien mother reached out weakly, touching his arm. You must be careful, human. If the wardens learn, they will take her from us. They will use her, experiment on her, and then kill her. The soldier looked at her sharply. Then why did you ask me to help? You knew this would happen. Tears welled in her silver eyes. Because I would rather risk everything than watch her die. And because I believed in you. The soldier's chest tightened. He wanted to be angry, but he couldn't. She was a mother. Desperate and broken, yet she had trusted him with her most precious life. Now that life bound them together, stronger than chains. The baby's first laugh. The days turned to weeks. In that time, the baby grew not only stronger, but brighter. Her eyes glowed faintly whenever she looked at the soldier, as if she recognized something in him. One day, while he made silly faces to keep her quiet, a sound escaped her lips, a soft, high laugh. The mother gasped, covering her mouth. The soldier froze, stunned. In this place of sorrow and despair, laughter was a sound no one expected to hear. The baby laughed again, louder this time, her small arms reaching for him, and for the first time since his capture, the soldier smiled. It was dangerous. It was foolish, but it was real. In that moment, the bond between them became unbreakable. The warden's watched, but danger was never far. The warden had returned. He stood outside the bars one night, his gaze cold and sharp. He watched silently as the soldier cradled the baby, as the child rested peacefully against his chest. The soldier's skin prickled under the warden's stare. He knew what those eyes meant. Suspicion had grown into certainty. Soon, the truth would no longer be a secret. And when that day came, the bond that had saved a life might also cost them all their lives. The soldier held the baby tighter, feeling her warmth against his chest. He whispered into the shadows, more to himself than anyone else. They'll have to kill me before they take her. The baby stirred but did not cry. The mother closed her eyes, whispering a prayer in her alien tongue. And in the silence of the prison, the bond between human and child glowed brighter than the dim lights, bright enough to spark hope, but also bright enough to draw deadly attention. The prison was restless. Whispers traveled through the cells like snakes in the dark. Some prisoners spoke with awe. The human protects the child. Others with envy. Why should he keep life while we watch ours fade? The guards had grown sharper too. Their patrols doubled, their eyes colder. Every time they passed the human cell, they lingered, watching, waiting. The soldier felt the weight of every stare. He knew the secret was leaking through cracks in the silence. The child's survival was no longer a miracle hidden in shadows. It was a fire, and fire always draws hunters. The warden's threat one night, heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. The warden appeared, larger than life, armored in glowing plates that reflected the pale light. He stopped at the soldier's cell and stood in silence, staring. The soldier's chest tightened. He held the baby close, her small body pressed against his heart. The alien mother, weak and trembling, lowered her gaze in fear. At last the warden spoke, his voice like steel scraping stone. Human, the whispers have reached me. They say you keep the infant alive. They say you defy nature itself. Is it true? The soldier did not answer. His jaw locked, his arms tightened around the child. The warden stepped closer, his eyes burning. If you are found guilty of deception, you will suffer, and the infant will be taken. Do you understand? The soldier's throat went dry. He met the warden's gaze and spoke through clenched teeth. She lives because she is strong. That is all. The warden studied him in silence, then let out a low growl. Strong. No, there is no strength here. Only weakness. And weakness must be erased. His gaze dropped to the baby and a cruel smile touched his lips. Choose, human. Stop whatever you are doing, or I will erase both you and the child. The words hit like a blade. The soldier's chest burned. The choice was clear but cruel. Abandon the child and save himself, or protect her and face death. The warden waited, savoring the silence, then turned and left. But his voice echoed back through the corridor. You have until tomorrow. After that, no mercy. The mother's despair. When the sound of the warden's footsteps faded, the alien mother broke into quiet sobs. She clutched her chest, her silver eyes filled with pain. It is my fault, she whispered. I brought this upon you. I should never have asked you to help. I have doomed us all. The soldier shook his head. He placed the baby in her trembling arms, though the child still reached for him. No, you did what any mother would do. You fought for her life. That is not a sin, it is survival. The mother shook her head again, her voice cracking. You do not understand. They will not just kill us. They will make an example of us. They will show the galaxy that compassion has no place here. The soldier's chest tightened. He knew she was right. But when he looked at the baby, her glowing eyes, her fragile smile, he felt the weight of something greater than fear. A choice had to be made. The soldier's memories that night. While the baby slept against him, the soldier closed his eyes. Memories of war returned. His comrades bleeding on the battlefield, the sound of human voices screaming in the dark. He remembered the faces of men and women who had died because they fought for one another. He remembered his commander's words. A soldier's duty is not just to fight, it is to protect. Now, here he was, stripped of weapons, stripped of freedom, yet still holding something worth protecting. He realized with a heavy heart that the warden had not given him a choice. The choice was already made the moment he first held the child, the whisper of rebellion. The next day, the prison stirred more than usual. Prisoners leaned closer to their bars, their whispers sharper. Some whispered words of fear. Others whispered words of hope. The human will fight. The human will die. The human will not surrender. The soldier kept his head low, rocking the baby in silence. But inside a storm raged. He was not just a prisoner anymore. He was a symbol. Every eye in the prison watched to see what he would do. That night, the scarred alien who had once questioned him slid close again. His voice was a hiss. Human, you have made the wardens afraid. That is power. But power demands sacrifice. Will you give it? The soldier did not answer. His silence was enough. The scarred alien chuckled, retreating into the shadows. Then the prison will not remain silent much longer. The choice as the hours passed, the soldier's thoughts grew heavier. He looked at the baby sleeping peacefully in his arms. He looked at the alien mother, weak but alive, watching him with desperate trust. He thought of the warden's threat. He thought of his own fear. And then he thought of the word the mother had spoken before. Compassion. Compassion was his weapon. Compassion was his strength. He whispered to himself, his voice firm, steady. If they want me to abandon her, they will have to kill me first. The mother's eyes widened, tears spilling down her cheeks. You would choose death for her? The soldier looked at her, his eyes sharp. No, I would choose life. And if death comes for me, then so be it. A human's duty is to protect life even when hope is gone. The baby stirred in his arms as if hearing his words. She opened her glowing eyes and looked at him. And for the first time he felt no fear, only resolve. The cliff of tomorrow. The night passed in silence, heavy with expectation. Every prisoner waited, every guard prepared. The air itself felt sharp like a blade ready to fall. The soldier did not sleep. He sat against the wall, the baby pressed close, his gaze fixed on the bars where the warden would appear. Tomorrow, the test would come. Tomorrow he would face the price of his choice. And tomorrow, the prison would see whether a human's compassion could stand against the cruelty of an empire. The baby sighed in her sleep, peaceful against his chest. The mother whispered prayers in the dark, and the soldier whispered to himself a promise that burned like fire in his heart. No matter the cost, they will not take her. The morning came like a blade. The prison lights flared bright, casting every shadow aside. The clang of iron doors echoed through the halls as guards marched, their heavy boots shaking the floor. Today, everyone knew something would happen. The human soldier sat in silence, the baby held close to his chest. Her small fingers gripped his torn uniform, her glowing eyes half shut in sleep. The alien mother lay weak beside him, whispering prayers under her breath, and beyond the bars, prisoners pressed closer, waiting, watching, whispering, "The human will fight. The human will fall. The human will not surrender." The soldier's heart pounded, but his face stayed calm. He had already chosen. Whatever happened today, he would not let them take her. The warden's demand. The iron doors boomed open. The warden entered, tall and armored, his eyes burning with cruel certainty. His presence silenced every whisper. Even the machines seemed to hum lower, as if the air itself bent to his will. He stopped before the human's cell, his voice deep and sharp. "Human, the time has come. Give me the child. End this defiance, or die with her." The soldier rose slowly, chains clinking at his wrists and ankles. He stood tall despite his weakness, the baby resting against his heart. His voice came firm, steady. "She stays with me." Gasps rippled through the prisoners. Even the alien mother stared at him with wide, trembling eyes. The warden sneered, his armor plates glowing faintly. "Then you choose death. Very well." He raised a hand and guards stepped forward, weapons humming with energy. The spark of resistance. Before the guards could enter, a sound broke the silence. Clang. A prisoner slammed his chains against the bars. Another followed. Then another. Soon the hall echoed with the metallic rhythm of defiance. Clang, clang, clang. The scarred alien who had whispered to the soldier stepped forward, his voice sharp. "No more, we will not watch another life stolen." The guards shouted for silence, but the noise only grew louder. Prisoners screamed, roared, slammed their chains, shaking the bars with fury. The air vibrated with rebellion. The warden's eyes narrowed. He growled, "Enough!" But it was too late. The fire had spread. Chaos unleashed. In the chaos, the scarred alien struck first. With a roar, he snapped his chain loose and lunged at a guard. The strike knocked the weapon aside, and the hallway exploded into violence. Prisoners surged against the bars, breaking chains, slamming fists, tearing at the guards. The machines wailed alarms, red lights flashing across the walls. The human soldier stood frozen for a moment, the baby in his arms, the mother clutching his sleeve. He saw the revolt explode before him, fire, rage, blood, and then he moved. He held the child close and pushed forward as the cell doors were forced open by the chaos. The mother staggered behind him, weak but determined. Guards rushed in, but prisoners swarmed them like waves. The sound of energy weapons cracked through the air, mixing with screams and roars. The prison was no longer a place of silence. It was a battlefield, the human's choice. The soldier ran through the smoke-filled corridors, the baby crying against his chest. His chain slowed him, but his will pushed him forward. Every turn brought danger. Guards blocking paths, prisoners clashing, sparks flying from broken machines. Behind him, the alien mother stumbled, coughing, her voice weak. "Go, human, take her! Do not stop." He looked back, his heart twisting. She was barely able to stand, but her eyes were fierce, filled with the same fire he felt. "No," he growled. "We go together." She shook her head, desperation in her voice. "If you carry both of us, you will fall. Save her, that is all that matters." The soldier clenched his jaw. His mind screamed at him to run, but his heart refused. He could not abandon her. Not now. The warden's pursuit roar shook the hall. The warden himself entered the chaos, tearing through prisoners like they were nothing. His massive frame slammed bodies aside, his weapon glowing with deadly light. "Human," he bellowed. "You cannot run. You cannot hide." The soldier's blood ran cold. He ducked into a narrow passage, holding the baby tight. The mother stumbled after him, coughing. Every sound of the warden's boots echoed closer. The flame of hope around them. Prisoners kept fighting. Some, seeing the soldier with the child, began to shield him, blocking guards, dragging him forward. They shouted words he had never expected to hear. "Protect the human. Protect the child." The soldier's chest burned with a strange fire. These were strangers, enemies, broken souls, but they were fighting for him now. Fighting for hope. He realized the revolt was no longer just about freedom. It was about something bigger. The sight of a human carrying life in his arms had lit a fire no chains could contain. The cliffhanger at last. The soldier reached a wide hall. The exit lay far ahead, glowing faintly in the distance. Freedom. So close, yet impossible. And then the sound came. Boom. The warden stepped into the hall, his armor glowing, his eyes burning with fury. He raised his weapon, pointing it at the soldier. The prisoners fell silent. Even the chaos seemed to freeze. The soldier tightened his grip on the baby, his eyes locked on the warden. His voice came low, steady, filled with steel. "You'll have to kill me before you take her." The warden's smile was cruel. That was always the plan. And with that, the two forces stood ready. The warden, a giant of power, and the human, broken but unyielding, carrying the spark of rebellion in his arms. The prison itself seemed to hold its breath. The hall trembled with silence. On one side stood the human soldier, chains hanging from his wrists, a fragile alien baby clutched against his chest. His body was weak, his breath heavy, but his eyes burned with fire. On the other side stood the warden, tall and armored, a monster of strength and cruelty. His weapon glowed with deadly light, ready to strike. Between them stretched the hall of broken prisoners and shattered guards. Everyone watched, hearts frozen, breaths held. The air itself seemed to wait. The warden's voice thundered. "You dare stand against me, human? You dare defy the order of this prison? You are nothing. Weak flesh, broken bones, and yet you cling to that child as if you matter." The soldier's voice came low but firm. "I may be nothing, but I will not let you take her. Not while I live." The warden's cruel smile spread. "Then you will not live much longer." The clash, the warden charged, his boots shaking the floor. His weapon blazed with energy, swinging down toward the soldier. At the last moment, the soldier dropped low, chains rattling, and rolled aside. The strike smashed the ground, sparks exploding into the air. The baby cried, her voice piercing the chaos. The soldier tightened his grip, heart racing. He had no weapon, no armor, only will. But sometimes will was stronger than steel. The warden roared and swung again, his power overwhelming. The soldier dodged, but barely. Pain lanced through his shoulder as the chain tore his skin. Still, he refused to fall. Around them, prisoners shouted, their voices rising. "Fight, human, fight!" The revolt surged again, prisoners clashing with guards, but their eyes always returned to the duel in the center. The outcome here would decide everything. The mother's cry, the alien mother staggered into the hall, her body weak but her voice strong. "Please, stop this. She is only a child." The warden turned his cold gaze on her. "She is weakness, and weakness must die." He raised his weapon toward her. "No," the soldier roared, charging forward. He slammed into the warden with all his strength, chains clattering. The impact shook them both, but the warden barely staggered. Still, the strike forced his weapon away from the mother. The soldier's chest burned, his arms shook, but he stood tall. His voice carried across the hall. "She is not weakness. She is life, and life deserves to be protected." The turning point. The warden laughed, a sound like thunder. "Life? There is no life here. Only chains. Only death." But the prisoners shouted back, their voices fierce. "No, life lives here. Protect the child. Protect the human." The hall filled with their cries, echoing louder than the machines, louder than the guards, louder than the warden himself. For the first time, the balance shifted. The warden's eyes narrowed. He realized too late this was no longer just a fight. This was a spark of rebellion, a fire he could not control. The final blow, with a roar, the warden raised his weapon high, ready to strike the soldier down once and for all. The soldier looked at the baby in his arms. Her glowing eyes stared back at him, innocent yet powerful, as if carrying the weight of something greater than them all. He whispered softly, "Stay strong, little one." Then, with a cry that shook the hall, he hurled himself forward. Chains whipped through the air, wrapping around the warden's weapon. Sparks exploded as the soldier pulled with all his strength, dragging the weapon down. The warden struggled, furious, but in that moment prisoners swarmed from every side. They slammed into him, tearing, striking, screaming. The soldier, bleeding and broken, struck again and again, fueled by something beyond strength. At last, the warden fell. His weapon crashed to the floor, his armored body collapsing under the weight of the rebellion. The hall shook with silence. Then slowly a roar of victory erupted. Prisoners shouted, chains rattled, voices rising as one. The warden was dead. The human had stood against him and won. The price of victory, but victory came with a cost. The soldier dropped to his knees, blood pouring from his wounds. His vision blurred, his breath shallow. He held the baby close, refusing to let go even as his strength faded. The alien mother crawled to his side, tears streaming. Human, stay with us, please. The soldier smiled faintly, his voice soft. No, my time is done. But she will live. That is enough, the mother sobbed, clutching his hand. You saved her. You saved us all. The soldier's eyes closed slowly, but his smile remained. His final whisper carried through the hall. Remember, humans are more than anyone believes. And then, he was still. The legend begins. The prisoners carried his body with honor. The child, still alive in the mother's arms, cried out, her voice strong and fierce. Word spread quickly, even beyond the prison walls. The story of the human who gave life, who stood against death, who sparked a revolt, grew into legend. They whispered his name in shadows. They told the tale in hushed voices across galaxies. The word spread like fire. In the darkest prison, when hope was gone, a human fed life itself. He stood unarmed against death, and he did not fall. In his arms the future lived, and from his sacrifice rebellion was born. The alien baby lived, growing strong. Wherever she went, her story carried with her. The story of the human who became more than a soldier, more than a prisoner. He became a symbol, a legend, and in every corner of the galaxy, when people spoke of survival, of courage, of hope, they whispered the same words. In the end, it was the human who gave us life.